Okay, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about line conventions. Line conventions are the very different lines and their thickness that are used to actually draw and communicate our objects that we're going to draw in this class. If you want to be an engineer, you got to sound like an engineer and you got to be able to draw like an engineer. So you got to take all of these different line conventions that help represent our objects and use them to show how an object is formed and created. As we move through here, first type of line that we've got is construction lines. Construction lines help guide us as we try to create stuff. So this arc that is formed, this object line arc, is used and created by using that construction line around that outside that's there. So we know the arc starting here, going to go up to its max point and then come back down to create through. You got the object lines. Object lines is a nice thickness all the way around that object. You'll notice there that the object line is a lot thicker than the construction line around that outside. So an object, when you look at that, you should be able to see the object right away. You got the hidden lines. Hidden lines are lines that we cannot see. So what's happening with this object is there's probably two holes that are drilled in that go through this object itself. So there's hidden lines that say, from the front view, if you're looking straight through, there's a hole back there you can't see, but it is there itself. There's also some hidden lines right around that side right there. There's center lines. So whenever you have a hole, you have a type of center line. So this right here that's going right on the outside, so there's a tick outside that's there. That's our center of our arc, our circle, or any kind of symmetrical part that we have. There's a section line. So section line are these diagonal lines that are going through here. Those sectional lines mean we cut away from a piece a little bit, so there's the section that's on the inside. So that means we cut this object somewhere. We'll talk about on the next slide that we actually cut it off of that section that's right there. So there's that short break line. So it's freehand drawn, just kind of a nice little squiggly line there, and it shows where it's broken away. So if we were able to grab that piece and kind of rip a piece off to kind of see what the inside was, we would do that. So what do we notice now after we cut this sort break line apart? This hole that we've got on the inside right here, they're no longer hidden lines like they are on the right side. They are object lines because we cut it back far enough to actually get to that hole. So we got the center line going through the middle, and we got object lines there. There are dimension lines. Over the next couple weeks, we're going to start dimensioning objects. Got dimension line are the lines right here with the arrows. Arrows actually touch the extension lines on that outside for us. We got the dimension located in the middle, if we can go ahead and put that. We've got the extension lines. Extension lines go off of the object themselves and kind of state where the dimensions start. So here's the left, here's the right dimension line for us. There's a right side dimension line for that smaller little section. By rule, this extension line is 1/16 away from the object itself. If they touch each other, then we've got a problem. Also, the extension lines should be a little less thick than the object lines around that object. There's the long break line. So let's say you wanted to go ahead and draw a 4-inch screw, but you didn't want to go all the way across that's there. You could do a long break line. The example they use right here is this whole piece is 12 inches long. This piece is 1 1/4. So they're not going to do 5 of these different pieces. That would be 5 times longer than what it is. So if everything on this side to this side is the same, we do a long break line. It says, hey, we're going to cut this piece in half. Well, not in half, but cut it down a little bit to show you that it's uniform from here to here. We're going to save ourselves some paper and some space. You also know here, what do we have here? We got a center line. We got an object line around the outside. And then we got the sectional lines. So this object was cut in half, so therefore we can see on the inside to see what was going on there. Different things. How do you dimension circles and arcs? You use leader lines. So leader lines come off at an angle. Point is on the circle and it points to the center of the circle. This leader line points to the center of the circle. So its point is on the circumference, the outside of the circle, but then it's pointing to the center of that circle that is there. So looking at drawings, there's different types of lines that take precedent over other lines. because you might have some different ones that go through. As we get more complex objects, more lines will show up at once. So what are the 3 rules we got to remember? Object lines take precedent over hidden lines and center lines. Hidden lines take precedent over center lines, and cutting plane lines take precedent over all others. We'll talk about cutting plane lines in about Unit 7 later on this year. So as we go to our last slide, we'll give an example of an orthographic projection. Isometric will go right here, just not drawn in. We've got the top view, we've got the front view, and we've got the right side view. So if this is the front view right here, we're rotating this object to look at the top of it. So we're looking straight down on top. So where cursor's moving right here, we're looking down on that object. So as we're looking down on it, we can't see that circle that's there. So there's where that center line comes in. When we're looking straight down, we see this edge here, we see this edge here. Those are those object lines for us. That circle is hidden from the top view, but those object lines take precedent of it. See how everything's lined up? Left edge, right edge. There's an indentation, 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 indentation. Everything is lining up as we go from the top view to the front view. Then as we move over to the right side view, we're looking from the right side. We're standing over here and looking at this. So we're looking at that point from that side, from that right side. So we're rotating it. As we look to that right side, we've got this line right here matching up with that one. So we can see that ledge that's there, but see the top of that circle and the bottom of that circle? There's no other object lines on this right side view of the front, so that's why those lines right there represent that circle that's in the middle. And then these little dash marks on the outside mean that we've got a center. So it's telling us we've got something going on there, and this is the center of it. This line matches up with that one, top matches with the top, but if we stand on this right side and look in, we cannot see this little indentation. So that's why there's that hidden line right there. This line lines up with that one. So all of these horizontal lines that we can create have matching horizontal lines here. All of the vertical ones here match up with some vertical lines on that other side. So those are our line conventions. Know the different types, know how they work, look what's thick and what's not, and be able to create those drawings later on in the week.